Today, we're going to dive into one of the most incredible scientific stories of our lifetime. How in the world did we get vaccines for COVID-19 at a speed nobody thought was even possible? Let's get right into it.
To really get a sense of how big this was, you have to rewind to 2020. The Journal of Integrative Bioinformatics, I think, put it perfectly. This wasn't just some new health issue. It was a global calamity, a once-in-a-century event that literally brought the world to a grinding halt. So yeah, let's set the scene. Those early days of the pandemic, they were just filled with this deep uncertainty, right? A lot of fear and a desperate worldwide search for some answers, any answers.
By December 20th, 2020, that was the number of reported deaths around the globe. And with no real cure and economies just in free fall, these daily numbers were this constant, grim reminder of how badly we needed some kind of scientific breakthrough.
A vaccine was seen as pretty much the only real weapon we had in this fight. It was our best hope to stop the spread, to save lives, and, to let us all get back to some kind of normal. The entire planet was holding its breath.
But here's the huge catch. Making a vaccine is not a fast process. To really appreciate just how wild the COVID-19 response was, we have to look at how things are usually done, the standard 10-year playbook.
You heard that right, a decade, sometimes even longer. It's always been a marathon, never a sprint. The whole process is designed to be slow, one step at a time, and super methodical, all for the sake of making it as safe and certain as possible. So the traditional way is incredibly linear. You start with preclinical stuff, in labs with animal models. Only when that's done, then you can move to phase 1 with a tiny group of people, then phase 2 with a few hundred, and finally phase 3 with thousands. The key thing here is that you absolutely have to finish one step before you can even think about starting the next.
So from the first bit of research to finally getting it licensed and out to the public, you're looking at a 10-year journey. I mean, look at phase 3 alone. The big efficacy tests. That part by itself can take up to 4 years to finish.
Well, obviously the world did not have 10 years to wait. A whole new playbook had to be written, and it had to be written on the fly. This was a sprint against the clock like we'd never seen before. And that brings us to the central question, right? How on earth did science pull this off? It wasn't about cutting corners on safety. It was about totally blowing up the old process and rethinking it from the ground up. And the answer really came down to a massive shift in thinking, going from a one after the other process to doing things in parallel. Instead of waiting for one phase to be 100% complete, researchers started the next one as soon as they had enough good data. The clinical trials were overlapped. It was a calculated risk for sure, but it was one they had to take to save time.
This incredible speed was really thanks to a few key things. Overlapping the trials was huge, obviously, but so was the global cooperation. We'd never seen anything like it. Scientists were sharing data on conference calls instead of waiting months for it to be published. And maybe most importantly, governments and private companies poured billions of dollars at risk, meaning they started funding the mass production of vaccines before they were even proven to work. A massive financial gamble, but it saved precious, precious months.
Now, this new playbook wasn't just about making the process faster. It was also about unleashing a whole new range of scientific tools and strategies all at the same time.
This was definitely not a one-size-fits-all situation. Scientists basically attacked the problem from every angle they could think of. They used everything from old-school, time-tested methods to brand-new technologies that had never, ever been used in an approved vaccine before. Okay, before we go any deeper, just a quick refresher. No matter what kind of tech we're talking about, the goal of any vaccine is exactly the same: to give your immune system a little training manual so it knows how to fight off the real bad guy if it ever shows up. So let's compare just two of these strategies. The whole inactivated approach, that's a classic. You take the actual virus, you kill it, and then you show this harmless mugshot to the immune system. It's stable, it's safe, but you might need a couple of booster shots. On the other hand, you have this groundbreaking mRNA technology. It doesn't use the virus at all. Instead, it gives our cells a temporary set of instructions, like a blueprint or a recipe, to build just one tiny, harmless piece of the virus. Our immune system sees that piece, learns how to fight it, and then the blueprint just disappears. This method is incredibly fast to develop, and it triggers a really strong immune response. But, just creating a safe and effective vaccine was only the first part of the race. The next leg of this relay was just as challenging, actually getting it to billions of people all over the world. And right away, 3 massive hurdles popped up. First, manufacturing. How do you go from making small lab batches to making billions of doses? Second, distribution. Some of these vaccines needed to be kept at crazy cold temperatures, which created a huge logistical nightmare. And third, maybe the biggest challenge of all, equity. How do you make sure these life-saving shots get to everyone in every country, not just the rich ones?
And that's where this number comes in. 2 billion. That was the goal of COVAX, this huge global initiative that was created to tackle that exact equity problem. The plan was to deliver 2 billion doses by the end of 2021, enough to vaccinate about 20% of the people in participating lower-income countries to protect their most vulnerable.
So when you take a step back, the race for a COVID vaccine did more than just give us a tool to fight a pandemic. It literally created a revolutionary new model for how science can work, how fast it can be when the world actually collaborates. It proved what's possible. And that leaves us with a really powerful question. Now that we have this new playbook, what other massive global challenge should we take on next?